Hey guys, Dr. Bagley here for another awesome, epic, cool, epic, awesome, epic, warframe Taylor's video! Epic. Today we're ranking the most important thing in the game, the requiem mods. Epic. Now first up is Zada, and I gotta give Zada an A tier. It's just pretty good. It's a pretty good requiem, you know. It's got a cool, unique icon, got a funny name. Zada's Whisper is a funny ability with some funny interactions. The poem talks about Ayatans and Kuva, and overall it's a pretty funny requiem. So it's gonna get an A tier. Now next up is Jahu, which I gotta give it just a C tier. It's very mid. It's not really super interesting. The only thing notable with it is like the Jahu gargoyle, and the shape isn't that unique. It's very similar to look, so I don't think I can give Jahu any higher than a C. And next up is Vome, and Vome is going straight into S. Now Vome is going into Z tier. Epic. Vome is easily the best requiem in the game, no fucking contest. It's got a very unique design, the world is funny, and as part of the Sacred Requiem trio, the Vome Reese Netra mech. And I am not exaggerating when I say that like 80% of my list is about Vome as one of the requiems. Vome is just that important. I'm probably the only person in the entire fucking world that has Vome merch, and I'm not talking about the worm. When I heard there was a Vome floof, I was so let down when I realized it was the worm and not the requiem. Vome is easily the best requiem, and there's no debating that. Now, following Vome, we have Foss, which is, it's gonna be a B tier. It's alright. It's the counterpart to Vome, but it's not as good. It's also a worm, so its importance is above average, and it's where Gaze Accused and I comes from, so it's a pretty good requiem overall, but it doesn't compare to Vome. Now, next up is Reese. And Reese is also going to get B tier. It's just pretty good. It's alright, but instead of being C tier, it gets B tier because it's part of the Sacred Trio. Now, next up is Claw, which it's gonna get D. It's just lazy. You made the Time Requiem an Hourglass? Wow, real original. Now, the final requiem with the Sacred Trio is Netra, and it's alright. It's gonna get B tier. It's the last in the Vome Reese Netra mech, and it's not super special other than being in the trio, but so that's why it's in B tier. Now next up is Loke, and Loke is gonna get S tier. You know, it's pretty good. It's like the most important one in the lore. It's like the combination of all of them. It still doesn't beat Vome, but it looks like a vagina, so I'm gonna have to give it S tier. Epic. Oh, you thought we were done? No, we still got one more requiem, baby, and that's and it's going into S tier. The only thing preventing it from being Z tier is you can't put on your Parazon, and also the original icon is way better than it. Change it between all the other ones. Go back to being this one, please. This one's way better. Well, those are all the requiems, but I still need to pad this video one time out, so I guess I'm gonna rank some other things, so... I don't know. Frankenstein's monster, he's alright. I'm gonna give him a B tier, you know, he's the original. You gotta respect the original. Now, next up is Dracula, and Dracula's a pretty good classic horror villain. I wanna put him into A tier. His lines are pretty good, his flow is great, you know. He's gonna go to A tier. Now, next up is Boone, who is also going to be in A tier. You know, he's just funny. He's uncaring demeanor with his very flat lines. It's funny, you know, he just doesn't give a shit about anything, and he just wants to kill the Legion, which, you know, I respect. And it's very funny when he deletes enemies before you even see them. So, yeah, Boone's going to be in A. And, following him in A is gonna be Raoul. Raoul's also pretty good. Ghouls are base, and he's a pretty interesting ghoul, you know, he's very unique. And Cowboy Raoul just kills everything, and you know, it's really funny when he complains every time you press crouch. It's pretty good. Next up is Elon Musk, who's going into F tier. I don't think I need to explain why. So the default handgun it's alright, you know, you could use it throughout the entire game. It's pretty good. You don't ever really need to upgrade to any other pistol, and its exclusive is pretty good, so this is a B tier gun. And next is the Blacktail. The Blacktail gets S tier. Sorry, Red 9 fans, but the Blacktail's just the best handgun. It's got insane damage, fire rate, ammo capacity, and it's also the smallest handgun, meaning you save on inventory space, so it's pretty good. Now, next is the Punisher, which unfortunately it's D tier. It's just a bad gun. It's just a downgrade to the Soaring Pistol. And the Slab Sharpshooter, it's alright. It's pretty underrated in my opinion. I'm gonna give it an A tier. The ability to shoot the Sharpshooter out there without having to charge it is pretty good, and it's a good reason to use it. And then you can also shoot your Slab Piercer and then your Slab Sharpshooter, and the reloads are independent, so you know, it's pretty good. I'm gonna give it an A tier. Now next up is the Gage Gloria DLC, and this is E tier. I mean, come on, this is like the best designed DLC in all of Payday, and one of the best in all of gaming. It's a lot better than the other mod packs that just, you know, give you the overpowered Pyrocraft weapon mods for just buying the DLC. And it's better than the AK car mod pack where everything's just locked behind achievements, so you don't get to use the thing you buy for a while. The Courier Pack adds a new side objective for everyone and not just the DLC owners. So even without the DLC, you still want to pick up the packages. You get DLC, or you get XP for picking up the packages. And you gotta remember that this DLC was added years before Continental Coins, so mods are very hard to come by, especially sites. So this DLC is really good. And the Wolf Cub is also a pretty good card. I'm gonna give it B tier. You know, it's really good for costing 1 blood. You know, it can attack, and it turns into a wolf after 1 turn, which is very good. You know, so that's a B tier. And Rise of Skywalker, this is an F tier. Like, come on, it's so fucking bad. But like, it has Bobby Frick at least, but like, he can't save this movie. And Initiation Part 4, this is Z tier. I mean, show me the Champion of Light, and I'll show you the Herald of Darkness. Expendable Anti-Tank is pretty good, you know. I would put it in A tier. It has a really short cooldown. It comes down with 2 launchers. It doesn't need a backpack. And it is better than the recoilless rifle, but I like the recoilless more just because I like being able to reload. But I mean, this is really good. You can one-shot chargers and you can 2-shot Bio Titans. So it's really good. Now, Albert Wesker in RE4, he's gonna get B tier. He's pretty fun. The only thing that's like holding him back is he doesn't have a knife for some reason. But his guns are very good, they're very strong, they're very fun, and he gets like more grenades than ammo, so he plays different. And his melee attacks, they hit really, really hard, and they're some of the funnest in the game. It's just really good. Now, Wesker in RE5, he's gonna get A tier. He's really, really fun. All of his guns are really good. His melee attacks are great. His charge attack is pretty hard to use, but is really cool. And he's also got sunglasses, so he's got a lot of cool gimmicks that make him fun. Now, Wesker in RE4 Remake, he's getting S tier. I mean, he doesn't even need a knife. He just deflects everything with his hands. My only real complaint with him is that 1, you need a mod to get his alternate outfit, and 2, he can't block rockets like he does in the RE5 boss fight. Now, Wesker in Dead by Daylight, he's also gonna get an S tier. Like, he's just the best designed killer in the entire game. His power is simultaneously movement, his chase, and his slowdown, and his skill-based anti-loop with good counterplay on both sides, and it's just very fun to land hits with. And on top of that, it's literally just fucking Albert Wesker as a killer in Dead by Daylight. He shit-talks you, and it's so funny. It doesn't make sense for him to be killing this game, but it's so funny, and I'm not complaining. Now, Wesker in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is gonna get A tier. He's pretty good, especially for new players. He's a really easy character to learn and pick up, and he's got some really cool combos without, like, being stupid bullshit. His teleport cancels are very cool. He's a pretty good character. Now, Chris is not as good as Wesker. He's still fun, and it's funny being the normal human that's fighting against gods and superhumans, but, you know, guy with gun is very funny. And, you know, Marvel 3 is just really good at adapting not fighting game characters into fighting games, so Chris is gonna be B tier. He's very mid. Now, Dante is known for having a bunch of special moves, but Crazy Dance is easily the worst. This move is just bad. You can't combo out of it, it's slow, doesn't do that much damage, and because of the way you access this move, there's just like no reason to do this instead of any of his other specials. And Royal Guard Z tier. I don't think I need to say anything more than literally every attack in the game can be guarded with perfect timing. Mountain Dew Baja Blast is gonna be A tier. It's pretty good. It's the funny gamer drink, but like, why is it not available all year round? It's just artificial hype like the McRib. It's good, but it's not like that good to like lock behind certain times. And Chapter 7, Jeff, this is easily the best chapter in the entire game. This horror section just thrown in at a really good time. You're pretty strong at this point in the game with all your guns, but Jeff just doesn't care. When I went into this part blind, easily the most memorable part of the entire game. Those parts where you gotta free him from like the freezer, and when you sit next to him in the elevator, oh, it's just so good. The only thing that's like holding this chapter back is the lack of the replay value. It's not really that replayable, but that first experience will really leave a mark on you. Now, next up is Psychic. Psychic, it's a pretty good class. I'm also going to give this A tier. You know, it can put out some insane damage, but they're very squishy to compensate. It's pretty good, and it's pretty funny when the big numbers work, but it's not super consistent. And the Scar, I'm going to be honest, I don't really like the Scar. This is C tier. Yeah, I know it's good, but I'd rather have any of the other rifles. Maybe that's just as my burst fire hate boner speaking, but I'd rather just use the AK or the M16 over this. I don't really like it. And I also don't really like Dead by Daylight that much. I'm going to give it a D tier because it's a D for Dead by Daylight, so... And Vriska is easily the worst character in the entire comic. They're going into F tier. They almost single-handedly made Act 6 shit, and they just completely ruined the latter parts. She doesn't go through any character development, even though the story treats her like she did. She's still an asshole to everyone, but is loved by everyone, even though she's like an evil character. She's an evil Mary Sue. It's just what a shit fucking character. And Industrial Sabotage it's alright. I don't hate it as much as everyone else. Like, yeah, it's annoying, but I do like the boss fight. I think it's fun, but it just takes so long. It should just be one hacking section instead of two. Now, Resident Evil 4 Remake Patch number 2, this is getting F tier. All this patch did was remove the speedrunning tech, so you have to down patch if you want to speedrun, and you also can't really do good speedruns on the patch with separate ways and the extra mercenaries characters, so it's just really annoying, and it's just bad update. Now, Turtle's pretty good. He's gonna get B tier. He's a pretty good engineer. If you had another ability other than the shield, he'd probably be too strong, but his shield's pretty good. Engineer pass is really good. His guns are good. He's got good health. He's just a very good all-round character. Now, next up is Fletcher, and he's gonna be A tier. He was my main for a very long time. He's very fun with his unique playstyle using bombs as his primary instead of his normal primary. He's just really good and really fun. And Phoenix is my favorite character in the game. I'm gonna give him S tier. He probably doesn't deserve it, but I just love him so much. He isn't the super great solo medic. He can heal, but it's more so a self-heal than a team heal. The instant burst, it's really good while running away. You're very survivable. It lets you tank a lot compared to most other heals, which are heals over time. They get stopped when you take damage. So having a burst heal is very good, and it's self-revive. It's also pretty good. It comes up more than you think. You can get right back up if enemies don't finish you off. It's pretty good. Now, Fragger's also pretty good. I'm going to give him A tier. His grenade is really good, but mostly he has one thing that more games need to copy, and that is that he has an animation for cooking his frag grenade, which more games need to copy this. It's just really cool. He counts on his fingers. It's a really nice detail, and it helps you time cooking your frags a lot better. It's just cool, you know. And Meowskulls, I'm going to give Meowskulls S tier for, no reason. The Valkyria, it's a pretty good gun. I'm gonna give it A tier. I really like it. It's very fun. It's really good with crit builds. It has a lot of really good DPS. It has a slow reload compared to a lot of other guns, but it's still really fun to use. Now, the Raven Shotgun, I really like this gun. It used to be a lot better back in like 2014, where 2014 was peak Payday, don't at me, but it's still pretty good now. You can hold up to 18 rounds in the tubes. It has very good sustain. and you can build it with certain builds. You can one-shot heavies, and you can do a lot of damage with it. It's just a pretty good fun shotgun. Now, next up is, really, I have to fucking rate the AM card. Do I have to rate the, I'll fucking rate the AM card. This gun sucks. It's the worst gun in the game. There's literally no reason to use this over any other gun. It's just bad. Like, actually fucking remove this thing from the game. It looks cool though, so just go play like a good mod pack where it's good. I don't know. There's a thing called Restoration mod that exists on Mod Workshop, but what are you talking about? What the fuck is that? Put the gun down. Cavity is an underrated DMR in my opinion. It's pretty good. I'm gonna give it A tier. It's very, very concealable and it has a high fire rate for a DMR, and it's also just pretty stylish. This is probably the best DMR for crit builds. Now the R93, oh, I love this gun so much. It honestly doesn't deserve A tier, even though I like it so much. It's been power cracked, but it just feels so good to use. You know, there's a lot of weapons that are just better versions of it, but it just feels so good to use. And the Red Fox Sniper is basically a straight upgrade to the Mamba in like every situation, which is sad. Like, yeah, it's fun to use, but I like having options. Like, it one-shots everything that's not a dozer, and it can kill dozers with a few headshots. It's fun, but I just wish there were more overkill weapons so there was more variety than just this weapon. And Dead by Daylight, I don't really like Dead by Daylight. I'm gonna have to give it an F tier. Expanded Weapon Base is probably the strongest ship upgrade in the game. I'm gonna have to give it an S tier. You get an extra charge on every single Eagle, including the 500. It's just so good. Big Bank, this is probably the best heist in the entire game. Hotline Miami might be my favorite, but Big Bank is just the best designed. It's so iconic, it's so good, it has a lot of replay value, and it's also just very, very funny, you know? It was the introduction of the dentist, who was really funny, and like even without like all the funny values of haha, look, it's Giancarlo Esposito, it's just a really cool introduction to the character, and it's a really good heist. So yeah, this is Z tier, definitely. Now the GeForce GTX 4060 Ti is a pretty good graphics card. I'm gonna have to give it a B tier. It's pretty good for its price, you know. So there we go. Now, Dead Ahead is one of the most iconic levels from Hotline Miami 2 for many, many reasons. The song's really good, it's a pretty hard level, and on hard mode it's arguably the hardest level, but the main reason why this level is so well known is because of the legendary 90 times combats possible on this level, and if you can get that, you're a gamer. Now, the Confederate States of America is gonna get an F tier. What a fucking joke, what a stupid fucking country. It's not even a country. They lasted less than the annoying Orange. Their entire reason for existing was because of slavery. Like, what a fucking joke of a country. And speaking of right-wingers taking L's, we got Ronald Reagan. Thanks for ruining the economy, you fucking dick. Sada's really good. I'm gonna give Sada an S tier. Like, come on. She's just so fucking good. Now, Benjamin, he's gonna get A tier. He's pretty good, you know, he doesn't kill things, but he makes you more money, and capitalism is the strongest thing in the game, so just having more money is pretty good. Adora is also gonna go into A tier. She's very good, she's got some good damage, she can pop leads, her abilities are pretty strong, so she's pretty cool, and Dark Adora is also a pretty cool little Easter egg thing that she can do, so yeah, she's A tier. And Gibraltar, he's gonna be into S tier for just the NFT alone. I love money. Ninja Monkey 201 is pretty good for early game. I'm gonna give it B tier. It can handle most early game threats by itself, so I like this power too. I just like the Ninja Monkey. And 402 Alchemist, this is a fucking downside upgrade. You're just losing uptime on your buff, which is the reason for running a buff for Alchemist, so never get this upgrade ever, this sucks. 302 Sniper is pretty good. I'll leave B tier. I like the Sniper Monkey. So yeah, Sniper Monkey's pretty good. I can one-shot ceramics with this path, and it's pretty good. It's a B tier. And I'm also gonna put 402 in B tier as well. Sniper overall is pretty underrated, and this is pretty good mobs you see, like pre-round 100 bad spam, and a single 402 can prevent the zombie from moving, which like basically just trivializes round 80, so, you know, it's pretty good. And Super Monkey is, I'm gonna give it C tier. I don't really like the Super Monkey. It's like, they're funny, yeah, but they just cost way too much for what they can do. And Dead by Daylight, I don't really like Dead by Daylight. I'm gonna give it an F tier. And Monkeynomics is Monkeynomics. And 025 Glue Gunner, it's basically the best CC in the entire game. It's really good for chimps. I'm gonna give it A tier. Now Ice Monkey fucking sucks, and that's why it's going into F tier. F for fucking sucks. Bad tower. The 402 Wizard is, well, not the 402 Wizard, just the 4-path Wizard in general is pretty good. I'm gonna give it an A tier. It's pretty good, and it's really, really good for door gunners. That's a very gimmicky thing that it can do. It's very niche, but if you want to use door gunner, put an arcane spike in there, and it's pretty good. Hokkaido is easily my favorite map in the entire World of Assassination trilogy. I'm gonna give her an S tier. It's just so fun. It's got a lot of cool, unique things like the disguise doors. And Soders is a very unique target because of how he's coded. He can die in a lot of weird ways because he actually only has 1 health. You can wallbang him with a lot of weird stuff. It's pretty cool. And on top of all of that, the Patient Zero variant of this level is also very fun. You can make basically everyone on the entire map a target for some fun challenge runs. The Focus Fall is getting F tier. This boss fucking sucks. Who designed this? This boss is horrible. Who thought it was a good idea to have uncountable 40 damage crits to half your party like 3 times around? Stupid fucking boss, bad. Crusader is gonna get A tier. I really like the Crusader. Crusader's probably actually my favorite character in Darkest Dungeon 2. He's very versatile, very strong. He's got a bunch of different builds with all of his different paths. He can fit in a lot of different positions. Overall, just a very good character. And the Hollyman he's S tier. Come on, Dismas is just the main character of Darkest Dungeon. He's S tier. He can fit into any position, does a bunch of damage, can fit into any team comp, and like every meta best team comp has him and Plague Docker on it. And Lego Star Wars 3, I'm sorry, this is just the best Lego game. It's true. You can't say anything. Like it just is the best Lego game. And Corvus's spreading influence talent. It's very interesting. You know, Corvus is like a half healer, half damage, and you're sacrificing CC from his knife to heal more. So it's an alternate playstyle if you want to be like more of a main healer with 2 marks instead of 1. But it's unique. You know, if you want to shake up how you play the game. Mr. Freeze's boss fight in Arkham City is gonna get S tier. This is, maybe it's the best boss fight in the game, in the entire Arkham series, honestly. But at the very least, you can't deny that it's not the best Predator boss fight. Because a lot of the Predator boss fights fucking suck, but this one is really, really good. He adapts to everything you do, and you gotta pull out a lot of really weird, obscure takedowns to actually kill him. My mic is fucking falling! Oh my god. Mr. Freeze adapts to basically everything you do, and you gotta pull out a lot of really weird, obscure moves to finish the boss fight. It's a really good design. It tests your knowledge and ingenuity more than your stealth skills, which is just really good and very memorable. Now, the default handgun is pretty good. It can hold its own throughout most of the game. It's, you know, you don't need to upgrade to another pistol, and its exclusive effect is very good, so I'm gonna give it B tier. It's pretty good. Now, the Blacktail's getting S tier. Sorry, Red 9 lovers, but the Blacktail is just the best handgun in the game. It's got insane damage, insane fire rate, ammo capacity, and it's also the smallest handgun, so you save on inventory space. Overall, it's just really good. And the Punisher, unfortunately, this thing is D tier. It's just bad. It's a downgrade to the starting pistol, so it is gonna be D tier. This thing sucks. Now, Stun is really good. I really like Stun, especially after all the nerfs to Blind. So, just having like a no button to enemies is very good, and it can save you a lot of plays in all situations. And the disarming traps is also pretty good. It's just like the best rig for a chaser play style. Now, Warrior 1, this is a really, really good boss fight. It's a test of all your skills to that point in the game. And on repeat playthroughs, once you get good, it's pretty easy. But it's just really cool, and it's very iconic. This is A tier. Amazing boss fight. Now, Virgil 2 is going into V tier. Like, come on. This is the most legendary boss fight from the game. he uses your own abilities against you. You've been turning big demons into weapons, and he does it, and he uses it to fight you. This is like the most iconic moment from the game, and yeah, Virgil 3 might be better, like story-wise and emotionally, but come on, this is just so hype, and also the song. Oh, Virgil 2 so good. And next is Virgil 3. Virgil 3, it probably should be Z tier, but I want to differentiate it from Virgil 2. It's still amazing, amazing final boss fight, amazing, just everything with it, but it's just not as iconic as Virgil 2, so I can't give it Z tier. Now, Virgil from Devil May Cry 3, he's alright, he's pretty fun. You can tell that he's like reused assets from his boss fights. I'm gonna give him B tier. He's fun, but he still has the things he can do. He can do a fuck ton of damage. He builds DT really fast, but yeah, his moveset is pretty limited, so he's just gonna be B tier. Now, Virgil from DMC, he's not horrible. I'm also gonna give him B tier. Like the game isn't great, but Virgil's still cool. You know, he has like versions of his classic moves from 3, but in DMC system, they don't hit anywhere near as hard, especially Killer B. But he has some cool things. Perfect Judgment Cuts and Virgil's version of Doppelganger came from DMC Virgil, so like he's so fun, so he's gonna be B tier. Now, Virgil in DMC4 is a massive step up from him in 3. Just improves in every single way. His moveset's way larger, he has a lot of more unique mechanics, like the concentration gauge and chargeable Beowulf, and taking some good stuff from DMC with Perfect Judgment Cuts, and all of his stuff, he's just so fun. His got those teleport cancels, Judgment Cut End, he's easily just the strongest character in the game. Now, you take that and just add even more shit, and that's how you get Virgil from DMC5, who is the most fun character in any action game. He has Doppelganger and Devil Trigger, Heavyweight Blade just to like insane damage with that slow. DT gain is still through the roof, all of his weapons, all of his weapons have super attacks, and not just Yamato. The most fun character I've played in a video game, Z tier. Now, Virgil from Marvel vs. Capcom 3, he's only gonna get S tier, because he's kind of like a game ruiner. He's the strongest character in the game, like he should be. He can fit into any position. His level 3 X Factor comebacks are insane. He has some cool combos with teleport cancels. But in a game where everyone has insane combos, he's so special, and him just being as brain dead good as he is, I can't give him Z tier, but he's still really strong and really cool, so he's gonna be S tier just for how strong he is. Epic. I'm gonna put Ubisoft in C tier. I'm not too big on Ubisoft. Like, they have some cool games. They have actually really cool ideas for games. Like, the concepts are really good. Like, the idea of like Watch Dogs and Assassin's Creed, and like For Honor is the coolest video game conceptually, but they just fail in execution like a lot of the time. You need to wake up. Ubisoft is alright, so I'm just gonna give them a C tier. 2021 was an alright year for video games, like, not even actually, no, it was pretty bad. The only game that actually came out that I, like, remember was Inscription, and that should have won Game of the Year. But, like, what else came out in 2021? It was just a bad year for video games, honestly. Unbreakable Sub-Zero, he's really weird. I really like Sub-Zero in this game. I'm gonna give him C tier. He's alright. He's the weirdo Sub-Zero variation. He has some cool things you can do, like you can combo into EX buff and still continue the combo because of how fast it recovers. He has some very weird things with specific matchups that not a lot of people know because not a lot of people play him. Starfield. Star Wars Battlefront 2 2017 is actually a good game. A lot of people just like think about it negatively because of the loot boxes, which haven't been in for years, but the game is still really good and really fun now. It's a shame that the support for it was cut to instead put effort and development into Battlefield 2042, and we all know where that went, so, you know, great job, EA. The Baconator is a pretty good burger. I'm gonna give it B tier. It's got a lot. It's very heavy, but it's pretty good. I really like it. Now just take that and just add even more, and that's how you get the Pretzel Baconator. I'm gonna put this in S tier. This is like the best burger I've ever had. It's so good. Like, it's just an objective upgrade to the Baconator. The Trollface is probably the most iconic Rage comic, and it is like the only one that is still used today. This is such a permanent part of internet culture, and even though its meaning has changed many times, it is still used in modern internet culture. And Cautious Slug, it's very C tier. It's like the most C tier thing ever. It's pretty good for early game, but it falls off pretty hard. And Gasoline is pretty good, you know. It's AoE. All AoEs are like every AoE item is pretty good, and Gasoline can give you a lot of potential damage. And Medkit is C tier. It's a lot better than people say it is. A lot of people think this item is fucking garbage and useless, and it's not really. While yes, just don't get hit, Lamau. When you do get hit, because you're eventually gonna get hit, it makes that hit hurt a lot less. And yeah, you should scrap it later on, but that goes for a lot of the lower tier healing items, so it's C tier. It's good in the early game, but it falls off pretty bad. And Topaz Brooch is gonna be S tier. This thing is just so strong, barrier is so strong, and this is the most consistent source of it. And honestly, this item should probably just be a green for how good it is. Now, PSG, Personal Children, this is a downside. This is a downside item, F tier. Bad item. Now, Stun Grenade, this thing fucking sucks. Stun Grenade fucking sucks. Now, the Stun Grenade is actually pretty good. I'm gonna give it B tier. The ability to just, like, melt Scrakes and Flesh Pounds is pretty good. You can just throw it and then mag dump into their head. Like, without a SWAT has a kind of hard time dealing with large Zeds. And because SWAT is just so good at clearing trash, they don't really need a normal frag grenade, so this is a pretty good, important part of SWAT's toolkit. And the M4 shotgun it's pretty good. I'm gonna give it A tier. It's a very iconic killing floor weapon. It's just a pretty good gun. High fire rate and good style. It's a very iconic killing floor weapon. And speaking of killing floor weapons, the Doomstick. This thing, it's very funny. It's not super good. I'm only gonna give it B tier. It's not super good, but it's very fun and it's funny. Now, contrasting that is the HRG Doomstick, and for Firebug, this thing is fucking insane. It makes Firebug so much better, especially at level 25 during Z time. You can shoot real time with infinite ammo and just turn the entire map into stacks and stacks of ground fire. This thing is amazing. And Ignition Tank, it's alright. It just increases all your fire damage. It's B tier. There aren't that many sources of fire damage. It's basically just Gasoline and, like, Artificer's Flamethrower. It's alright, but just making Gasoline better, this item's pretty good, so it's gonna be B tier. Now, APG Missile, come on, Z tier. It's literally the item in the game. Other than Clover, like, this is the best item in the game, like, no question. It can just do so much damage. Overwatch 2 is gonna be F tier, and Harvester Scythe is gonna be S tier. This is, like, the best healing item, and that 5% crit is nice. This is just overall a very good item. You want to get a lot of these during your run. Bottled Chaos is F tier. I fucking hate this item. This item sucks. I don't care that it can actually be good, but it just ruins all runs where you loop. I don't care how good it can be, just your builds are the most fun, shut up. And speaking of F tier, we have F95 Zone. This website just fucking sucks. It has, like, no good games on it. And the Medic SMG, I'm gonna be real with you, this thing sucks. It's just not good. The Medic pistol is just better, and the only other classes that would ever want to run this are Medic and SWAT, and both of them have way better options that you can get at the same time. This gun is just bad. The AA-12, although, is S tier. This thing's amazing. Come on, it's the OG, I need this thing to fucking die gun. It's just really good. It just outputs a bunch of damage, and it's just very fun. It's very good. Next up is the M32 Grenade Launcher. I'm gonna give it a B. It's underrated a lot. Like, yeah, it's not the RPG. and so you're running this instead of RPG. And the RPG just lets you delete large Zeds, especially Skrakes, but the M32, it's a fun alternative. It's really good at deleting trash, and it still is good at dealing with large Zeds if you just mag dump them. It can do a lot of good damage, and it's a more versatile, I'd say, but losing the ability of one-shotting a Skrake it's a heavy price. So if you're running multiple demos, then it could be good to have one run RPG and one run M32. But so yeah. And the Gorshiv, this is the worst knife in the game. I'm gonna give it D tier. I get what they were trying to go for with its design, but it just looks really bad. It just looks like a big slab of metal that isn't sharp at all. I just don't like it. The Tricep Dagger is pretty good. I'm gonna give it A tier. It can do a lot of good damage. It can build up Deathmark. It stacks well, and it combos great with Shatter Spleen. Overall, it's a pretty good item. So it's very good for a white. Benefic Bloom, this thing is F tier. Yes, it's very funny, and I pick it up like half the time when I see it, but it just ruins your run. You only ever take it when you're looping, and when you're looping, you're just shitposting to see how stupid your run can get, and this item is the run ruiner. It replaces Clover, so it's not good, and it just replaces all of your items and ruins your build. It's very funny, but it's F tier. This thing sucks. Backpack, this is like the best tool in the game. It's S tier. Having an extra inventory slot, especially on Ultra, is just too good to not use. Invisible is pretty good. This is A tier. It just makes hiding spots even stronger. It removes like all RNG relating to them, so you can just get away for free whenever you break line of sight. And Strong Arm, this is also A tier. It's another strong skill, so it's hard to choose what skill you want to use because a lot of them are pretty good, but this is the one I run. I just like Strong Arm more than all the others. I play more aggressively rather than like stealth, and Strong Arm just buys you a lot of time. You can stun like a normal hunter for like 30 seconds with a brick headshot, and I don't really like Dead by Daylight. And the Defiant Gouge is A tier. This it's pretty good. It's different than a lot of the other Lunars. It just spawns more enemies, which is good. Beats of Fealty is going to be B tier. Maybe it should be higher because I'm rating this high because it's a Lunar with no downsides, so that means you can just take it whenever and you can use it on cleansing pools. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, I'm sorry, this game is just mid. Yes, it's really cool, I love it, it's really cool, but it's just all spectacle. The game's really, really easy, you just spam block and you can just never take damage, and a lot of the time during boss fights you're just waiting. Yes, it's really cool, the music is amazing, but a lot of the cool stuff, you're not controlling your character, you just press a button and the cool thing happens instead of you doing the combo yourself. Overdrive Booster I'm gonna give it A tier. It's actually a clean despite looking like a unstable because it just adds an alternate fire mode, and it just lets you output way more damage while not being able to move while you're shooting. You can delete Praetorians from the front, and it's really, really good at single target. And this is like the best Shard Diffractor overclock in my opinion. And Leadstorm, if you can master this is the best minigun overclock. It's very weird to use when you start using it, but once you master, you do so much damage. The way you have to use this is because you can't move while shooting, you need to jump, and then while shooting in the air while you still have momentum from your jump, and then stop shooting once you touch the ground and jump. You keep jumping. You gotta master the minigun B-hop, and once you do that, you can output some insane damage. Special Powder, this is getting Z tier. I mean, come on. Yes, I know it's not super great, but do I need to explain why I'm putting it in Z tier? It's just fun. Once I got this overclock, I've literally never unequipped it and never swapped off the boomstick. I actually got this overclock before I got the crossbow, so I've literally never used it even though I'm a scout main. And Overcharger, this overclock is just fucking bad, D tier. Yes, more damage sounds good, but it doesn't make Thin Containment Field do more damage. So having it just cost more ammo to shoot while not doing more damage is just a downside. And you only ever run Plasma Pistol to use Thin Containment Field, so just making it worse, this is just no, this is F tier, this is just a downside, this thing sucks. Big Bertha is funny, but it's not great. In my experience, the autocannon, the biggest downside with it is the ammo problems and the extra damage that this gives you does not make up for the ammo you lose. Elephant rounds is pretty good. I'm going to give it B tier. You do more single target damage with your single target weapon, but I just think there's better overclock options, like volatile bullets is way better for super high value targets, and 6-shooter is better for like shooting one grunt because you get more ammo. Now, volatile impact mixture it's good if you want to do like more direct damage instead of dot. I'm going to give it C tier. Like, it's okay, but like I feel like with direct hits you do enough damage, and the dot is nice for like tougher enemies, so losing on the dot, I don't really think this overclock is very good, and I also don't think Dead by Daylight is very good. And triple tech, I know this overclock is pretty good when you play around it, but come on, it's not the mole. Like, the mole is the most fun coil gun overclock, and you know what, this is going into A tier. This is the reason why I started using the coil gun. You can just destroy dreadnoughts if you use it right. It's just so fun. You can now put some insane damage. And blind, even after all the nerfs, this thing is still amazing. It's so good. So I'm gonna have to give it A tier. It can just trivialize a lot of objectives, like the finale of Police Station and Courthouse. You can just turn an enemy off, and it also gives you infinite stamina at the same time. It's really good for doing objectives when there's enemies just staying there. So super cooling chamber, I don't like this. This is not really needed. This is D tier. Like, when does an enemy survive a focus shot? You don't like need more damage with it, especially because you lose a bunch of ammo when you run this. I don't really like it. Overtune particle accelerator, you like don't hit anything when you run this. This is a downside, honestly. It's just bad. And like even the boomstick has more range than this. And speaking of the boomstick, we have jumbo shells, which is mid. This is gonna be B tier. Like, it lets you train your upgrades. You could like specialize more. You could run double ammo and still do a bunch of damage, or do one ammo, one damage to have a lot of burst. It's a good way to fine tune your boomstick. Now, gas recycling is strange, cause like it shouldn't be on scout. I'm gonna give it C tier. It doesn't feel like it should be a scout thing. You can't hit weak points, so it's only good on like grunts. It's bad on Mactera and like Praetorians. But like trash clear like that isn't scout's job. You can just run away from them and have your team that actually has bigger guns kill them, and it makes you slower. So like it doesn't make you feel like scout. It's C tier. I don't really like it that much. And on top of that, the darkness is coming. You need to wake up. You need to run. You need to run. The darkness is coming. I don't like Dead by Daylight.